Karen,
Yes.
do you remember that time when I looked at our bank account and thought, universe?
This could go so many ways.
I thought we agreed on abundance.
Yes.
Right. Well, apparently, I have been manifesting coupons.
Oh, okay.
No.
An abundance of coupons?
Are we talking
like BOGOs or like 5% off?
All of the above. All of the above. See, okay, our guest went from childhood where money was, let's say, scarce, to building this powerhouse mission that helps women stop living on emotional and financial crumbs and actually step into the life that they're here to live.
Oh.
Like the real one, not the be grateful for the bare minimum and smile one that we are told about, right? She's basically the love child of a mindset coach, a business strategist, and that one friend who will lovingly call you on your bullshit while handing you a latte and a hug. And I know what you're thinking, Karen. Yes, she did say we all need to stop apologizing for wanting more.
I wasn't thinking that.
But I know you were about to. I'm going to be printing that on that t-shirt anyway. But we're busting those pesky money myths that have kept us always wishing for more, because we are about to step out of the crumbs and into the whole damn bakery. Welcome to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
Welcome to another soul-expanding, belief-busting, oh, so that's why my life has been like that episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians, the show that reminds you that the universe didn't put you here to play small, even if your bank account occasionally tries to say otherwise. Today's guest is a firecracker, and not the kind you light once and forget it. No, this one lights you up. See, she grew up with money being, let's call it, a creative improvisational art form, then went on to work in a high-powered corporate space, and somewhere along the way realized, wait, women are running households, raising families, holding emotional space for literally everyone, and we're still apologizing for wanting abundance? Absolutely not. So she built a mission, not a business, a mission to help women stop living on crumbs, step into their power, value their gifts, and actually get paid for the magic that they put into the world. She's equal parts hype woman, strategist, spiritual cheerleader, and the person who will lovingly look you in the eyes and say, you deserve more, and you know it. Please welcome Sarah Walton to the show. Sarah, how you doing today?
I'm awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be here.
We are beyond excited to have you. I did a very deep dive on your stuff, and to say that I'm excited is to say it lightly. However, the very first question I got to ask is, apparently I'm lacking some of the plumbing that is necessary for the conversation, because you're all about women, right? So is this only exclusive to women, this conversation that we're about to have?
It is not exclusive to women, though I do find that women have been programmed in a very different way from when it comes to money, right? And our worthiness and, this idea that we're even supposed to handle it. Like, for so many hundreds of years, women were handed from fathers to husbands, right? And we were a financial burden. We never touched the money. And it's only been 50 years that we've been able to have our own credit cards and our own mortgages without a man's signature. So there is still some residual gunk, if you will, on women that men don't have to carry.
Right.
So while the conversation can absolutely work with both, there is some specialty to working with women specifically about this.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that, because I was, like I said, diving into your website, and there's a lot of stuff in there that's really good that I really need. So I was really hoping that you'd say what you said. So, though, yes, I completely understand the reasoning for the conversation being in that direction, but I'm glad to know that it's for me too.
I mean, that's why I kept my last name.
That is, yes.
You know, women were property, and I'm not.
Yep.
So
right.
Speak on it, Karen. Speak on it. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. It's just a little different. That's all. But the main principles do apply. Well, great question.
All right. Well, then let's get the conversation started with the grocery store. You mentioned that there was a moment in the grocery store that changed everything for you. Can you take us back to that moment and what shifted inside you?
I can. It's a tiny bit of a story, if that's okay.
Absolutely. We've got an hour and a half. No, just, whatever.
All right, hang on to your hats and glasses then. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that long. But when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I was watching the Nutcracker with my mom. PBS was having their fundraisers. For those of you that don't remember PBS, right? They used to have fundraisers where you could call in and donate money so that these great programs could stay on the air. And I was watching the Nutcracker, and I remember turning to my mom. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to do that. And just looking at this dance as this beautiful art form. And that stuck with me all throughout, my teenage years and well into my 20s. But for the purposes of this story, it took me to high school where I really wanted to become part of the dance team. And this was something that was such a big deal where I was raised. I was raised in a little town called Sandy, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. And it was a big deal to make the high school dance team. Like this was like the thing to do. And so it came time for me to try out. We couldn't really afford for me to take dance classes. This was not something that we could do. So I learned how to dance by watching MTV. So Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul were my idols.
Mine too.
And they taught me how to dance. Thank you so much. And so I really was not trained classically by any sense of that word, but I tried out. I worked my rear end off. I remember practicing in the basement. My knees hurt. I had bruises. I knew how to throw chairs and, do all of the amazing Rhythm Nation moves. And I made the team and I was so stinking excited. And I was in this really tight-knit community where everybody sort of knew what was happening for other people. So people were bringing over single roses. It was this huge thing. Sarah made the dance team. Oh my God. And then I got the letter that talks about how much this is going to cost. And, I don't know if you guys have ever had one of those experiences where you're like up out of your body and you sort of watch yourself go through something. It's like, oh, that's happening right now. It sort of felt like that,
Yeah.
My hands got sweaty. My stomach fell through the floor. And I remember looking at this letter, it had the jacket. It was the 90s. So it was like a unitard, right? The shoes, the competition fees, all the things. And there was just no way. There was no way we could afford this because at this time, we were so poor. When I say poor, people are like, oh, no. We were so poor that there were times literally the only things in the pantry was like a half a loaf of bread my mother had made from scratch and a jar of honey. The end. Like that was it. So when I say this was like not affordable, I meant this really wasn't affordable. And it was this dream since I'd seen the Nutcracker. So I know you're surprised, but I was very frisky. And I decided to get a job.
What?
I got a job at the mall. And for those of you that are so young, you don't know what a mall is. I love you, but just think of Stranger Things, okay? So I went and I got a job at the mall, and I was working at one of those little kiosks, those little like carts, right, where you sell tchotchkes nobody needed, but it was like the late 80s, early 90s, so it was cool. People were buying stuff they didn't need all the time. Anyway, so I sold these tchotchkes. I did this thing, and I got my first paycheck, and I was so excited. Because it was enough for the down payment on my dance costumes. And so at the time I didn't have a bank account, and people used to be in customer service back then, like it was actually a thing. So you could go to the grocery store and wait in the customer service line and cash checks.
Yep.
So my mom takes me to the grocery store. It's just me and my younger half brother. And we're walking into the grocery store to cash this check. And my mom turns to me and says, Sarah, the strawberries are on sale. Can we get some? So I'm thinking of the strawberries and I'm thinking of my dance costumes and I'm like, yes, we can do that. So I go get my check cashed. She goes to get the strawberries with my younger brother. And now that I have the cash in hand, I go to find them in line at the grocery store, like at one of the aisles, and they're not there. I look in the express aisle, right? And I keep going back and forth. And finally I see them in line with a cart full of groceries. And this is a cart full of groceries I know my mother cannot afford. There's no way she can afford this cart. And I'm looking at it. I see my younger half brother sitting in the cart and his little legs swinging or whatever. And I see his favorite breakfast cereal, milk, cold cuts for his lunches, right? Bread, the strawberries. And I'm standing there, you guys, and I have a choice, right? With this money that I have, I can either take care of my family, or I can get something for myself I've wanted for as long as I can remember, but I cannot do both. And in that moment, I made a decision that I would never be able to take care of both my family and myself at the same time. And I lived that out. I have 65 cousins. I am the first woman in my family to have a college degree, right? I moved to Europe after I graduated college. I moved to New York City. I got this high powered job. I'm quote unquote killing it, right?
Mhm.
Everything looks great. I now have 2 children. I'm making all this money and I am miserable. And I remember sitting in my corporate job at this great corner office, right? My team is out there. I can see them. I have a ficus tree in my office, right? I feel very cool. I have Jimmy shoes, like every life, right?
Yeah.
Except I'm like nauseous all the time and I never see my children. And there was one day my daughter called me. I think she was 18 months too, right? Just barely can talk, but it was miss you, mommy.
Oh.
I die, right? So I'm sitting there, I hang up the phone and I'm hearing the clock in my office tick away the seconds of my life. And it's just that I can't get that second back and I can't get that second back and I can't get that second back. And all of a sudden in that moment, I remembered the 16-year-old girl in the grocery store who decided she could never take care of her family and herself at the same time. And that 16-year-old girl was still running my life. And I'm sitting there in this office realizing I'm making all this money for my family and I am so unhappy. And that was the moment I decided to figure this out in a different way. And I decided I was always the only woman in the room as a senior executive. It was me and usually the head of HR, right? The only women in the room. Just we're doing financial projections, which is 4th grade math, right? Nothing in here is proprietary. Why am I constantly the only woman? What is happening here? And why am I afraid to actually take care of myself and my family instead of or? And that was the day I stopped letting that grocery store moment run my life. And what sort of made that really poignant is I did end up quitting my job that day.
Wow.
And I remembered buying the groceries for my family that day, which is what I chose to do. And another mom in the community found out what had happened. She'd heard about what had happened. It still makes me cry to this day, but she paid for my dance costumes.
Wow.
And in 2019, right before COVID hit, I decided to host a conference in Salt Lake City. And so all the people that live with me on the East Coast now came out to Salt Lake City. All of the people from high school, young people that I'd known, it's like my 2 worlds kind of collided at this conference. And the woman who bought my costumes came to the conference and I got to bring her up on the stage and thank her publicly for how much she had changed my life. And it was so moving. And there are people who know this is my quote unquote grocery store story, right? They know this story, but it was so beautiful to be able to bring her up and thank her and let everybody in the audience know I wouldn't be there had she not done that, had she not been a woman who had access to money, who changed someone else's life. And it was really beautiful because she actually passed away in 2020. And so I was so grateful I got to have that moment with her and really bring this story to light for people to say, this really is what women do when they have money. And we never know the ripple effects of what that will end up being.
Right. I heard that story on another podcast, and that is the sole reason why I reached out to you to come on the show, because that is a remarkable story. And it's a story that so many people in different situations, but can resonate with, that it's an important one to get out. So thank you very much for taking the time and telling us that story, because it definitely moved me the very first time. It moved me the second time. So
wow. Yeah, that's just incredible. So how do you let that go? That, that decision that you made, because so many of us, like Will said, have been in kind of similar situations, and you can say, oh yeah, I can see how this affected me, but how do you get past that?
Yeah, I think recognizing it is a lot of the game. What was it? Yeah, so many people have said 90% of success is showing up, right? But showing up in that moment and really recognizing that it happened, and then deciding, do you want to continue to let a teenager run your life or not? And that sounds really simplistic, but we do look at world leaders at the moment. We look, not the moment, forever, world leaders forever. We look at people out there. We can see a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds running.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, the 4-year-old got stuck and I'm going to take my poison, go home.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, I see what's happening here. Right.
Right. And now they're throwing a tantrum and taking us along with them.
I mean, right. I'm just, take your pick. You can make it fit, but it's really interesting to sort of recognize as human beings, we get stuck at moments and we let that child, whoever that child is, take over and they start running the show. And I think when we see that and we recognize it's every single one of us, none of us is special. No one gets out of childhood without this happening. And I think when we can sort of step into that shared humanity piece, it's not so scary to talk about it. and the more we all talk about it, the more other people recognize it. And just that recognition alone can really start to heal it. And I think what's so important about that fact is we want to grow. It is a human need to grow. When we are not growing, when we are not contributing, we don't do well. We start to ruminate, we start to get anxious, we start to get depressed. And so I think we do have this natural propensity towards healing. And so once you can see the moment alone, that alone is so powerful. It starts to make habits that you are, quote unquote, just this way, right? Habits that have just been this way forever. All of a sudden they become quite malleable, and it's really efficient to see them and quickly go, oh, was that the 16-year-old in the grocery store, or is that the 36-year-old woman? Hang on, right? And you start to just in the moment start to unfold that. And that really is what I did. I mean, quitting my job that day was a big piece of that. It was incredibly scary. I don't mean to say that flippantly. It was terrifying. But it was so I just knew it was necessary. It was like, I've made this an either or. And the more that I now teach abundance and talk about abundance constantly as a concept, is people who are truly abundant in this world are never either or. They are always both.
Right.
You can have this or this, both. It's like this automatic answer, both, right? And it's not out of selfishness. It's out of, I'm not going to live inside of limitations. Let me figure this out. Let me see what's actually possible. And that's when the new opportunities arise. We can only find what we're looking for. Right. So if we're looking for either or, that's what you'll find. If you're looking for both, you can find it too.
Which then leads us right into the perfect segue to the money myths. Right on your site, you've got a great video that you get when you sign up for your Freedom Calculator, which we'll talk about, which I love. And I mentioned before we started recording, fell in love with it so much so that I changed everything about the interview to circle around these three. You have three money myths that you talk about. So can you walk us through those? Because it goes hand in hand with the whole abundance thing.
Yes, it absolutely does. And I want to always, in this day and age where everybody on the internet knows everything, I always love to give credit where credit is due. So these three myths I learned about first in a book called The Soul of Money, which I highly recommend, by the author is Lynn Twist, and just an exquisite book. But these three myths I sort of took from that book and have expanded and looked at. But myth number one is that there's not enough. And this one is just so hideous. I hate this one so much, but there's not enough. And what I love to talk about, I have a very funny YouTube video about that too, that I do about kids who are taught to play musical chairs. And you take away a chair. We're literally teaching scarcity to our children. But anyway, okay, that's another story for another time. Sarah gets worked up. But so the myth that there's not enough. And what I love to talk about here is just I'd like you to look at a garbage can in an amusement park. It's disgusting. There's so much food in there. There's so much food in there. And yet people are starving, right? But we live in this myth of there's not enough. So there's not enough. We have plenty of water. We can drop bombs within inches of where they're supposed to go, but we can't drop food, water, and medicine. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What? Right. So this idea there's not enough, there's more than enough, right? We live into this myth that there's not enough when we start to hoard, which is completely against our nature, right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen this conversation sort of come up lately as extreme wealth has started to become more of our consciousness. But this idea that, like, could you imagine a squirrel like hoarding all the acorns and all of their family dies? That's like not a thing in nature. Like that's not how that would go ever. And it would be very weird. And we would actually study that animal and be like, what is wrong with this animal? It would be like, this one is broken, right? Like it's so weird. But it is because we're born into this myth that there's not enough. The second myth is more is better. And this one is brutal because it will not let you relax. So you've made 10 million. Well, 10 million and one is better. And so you can't ever be satisfied. You can't ever just experience life because there's this constant more is better, more is better, more is better. And we know this myth isn't true logically. we know it. Like I always joke about people who are like, I want a really big house. And then they get the house. They're like, who the hell's cleaning this thing?
I know. I don't want
you know, like every mom just went, every dad too. It's like, oh, now I have to fix the gutter. I got to do this every weekend is now like, damn this house. Right. So it's like this more is better thing. It can get old real quick.
Yeah.
Right. Like we can really start to see that that's probably not true, but it is so a part of the air that we breathe from the second that we're born, that it crowds into the mind in a way that we're not even aware of. And so the more I can talk about this with people, I do, because it starts to, again, the recognition, you can start to see it in different ways and people start putting stuff back. We have the minimalist movement that's happening. People are starting to, like, I only buy my clothes from ThreadUp, which is a great app. I highly recommend it, right? I always get secondhand clothes because there's enough clothes, right?
Yeah.
I don't need any, like, this is crazy. This idea that we constantly need more is ruining our ability to enjoy our lives. And that's really dangerous. And then the third myth is, well, that's just the way it is.
Right. That's my favorite one.
Oh my God. Right. Because that one keeps the other two locked in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Because it's like, oh, well, that's just the way it is. I'm just going to go over and eat a pizza. Like, what am I going to do? Right. And it allows us to sort of shrug things off or to just, say things like, well, you know what? Kids are going to starve. That is just the way it is. It's like, what? More is better when other people don't have any? What are you talking about? Like I said, this would be the squirrel that we would study. Like, what is wrong with you? And so if we can work through that last myth that is so insidious and so lets us off the hook from expanding ourselves, from asking questions, for looking at where both is possible, it is so dangerous to stay in that place, that shrugging of, that's just the way it is. And that's what allows us to have tomorrow look exactly like today and 3 weeks from now look exactly like today. Right. And then we stop looking at the actions of today that can absolutely alter what tomorrow looks like, what the next day looks like, what the next 3 weeks look like. And we stay in this pattern of being like, no, this is just who I am. This is just the way this is. Right. It's like, no, all of that is made up. And as soon as we can start to live in the magic of that, things really start getting good.
Right. So I can see how I've been kept in Crumbs City, right? Those three are very much in my lane. It's always been the way. It's always, I need to have more. I need to have more. I've been a upwardly mobile man my entire career because I've got to go. What's the next step? What's the next step? I got to be, and it is just the way it is, right? So all three of those are amazing. The difference, what I do, and we've done the show now for 4 years, going on 5 years.
Congrats.
And we've thank you. And we've had these conversations a lot with different people. And it's a really easy thing to say, stop thinking these things or stop doing what you're doing. It's a lot harder to actually do it because there's this law of attraction thing, right? That says if you wish for it hard enough and you can't wish for it, you have to know it's coming. But you can't have any doubt, because if you have a doubt, it immediately cancels everything out. So you're constantly like, so you're trying to, right? So how does someone juggle all these tenets that are being thrown at us in terms of building abundance while still staying inside the crumbs?
Yeah. Such a good question. Yeah. May I have another?
Yes,
right. It's like this
so.
idea of like, I'll just take as little as I can. Yeah. So I do have like a couple of exercises. If you guys want to do them, it's cool. What I love about this is they're totally free, completely accessible. You can have them whenever you want, and they absolutely change the chemistry of your brain if you want to do them. I mean,
you were just saying, yes, ma'am, may I have another?
All right. So these are tiny, tiny things, but they really are life-changing. And the first one I like to do, especially when you're nervous, is say you're looking at the promotion, you're looking at the ladder, you're looking at what's next, you're looking at your bank account, you're freaking out, whatever's happening, right, in this moment, is to put both your feet on the floor and wiggle your toes. Swear to God. It just pulls you back out of the mayhem of your own mind and go, wait a second, I'm here and I'm fine. And that sounds crazy, but I have done this when I'm, doing massive presentations, when we're doing venture capital pitching. I've done it before getting on big stages. I've done it when, you get the surprise bill and you're like, I didn't have that in the line. You know what I mean? All these things that can happen is just pull yourself back in your body for a second, just wiggle your toes. And what I love is nobody knows you're doing it. So even if, you're in a tough conversation with a spouse or someone you love and you're talking about money and you're starting to like do the thing where you're like the Tasmanian devils in your head and you're just wiggle your toes. All of a sudden you can't do both. You can't both wiggle your toes and let the Tasmanian devil take over. So it just gives you a hot second to go, hold on. I'm a really smart person. Let me just see what's happening here. And that pause alone can make a big difference. So there's one. The other thing I love to help people do is to flip your perspective on things. And the easiest, fastest way to do this is to start to notice the space around objects instead of the objects themselves. So for example, like in front of me right now, I can see my camera and it's on a tripod. So I would be looking at the space in between the tripod. I'd be looking at the space around my camera. For those of you that are watching, you can see there's a chair behind me, there's a tree, but you wouldn't be noticing those. You'd be noticing the outline around my head, say all of the space that's there. And once we start to do that, what you're doing is you're training your brain to start to notice how much space there is. And that is a flip from looking at what is finite, scarcity, right? What is finite is the camera begins and ends. The tree behind me begins and ends. No, but the space does not begin and end. For those of you, if you're driving, please keep your eyes on the road. But like if you look up, right, and you notice all of the sky versus the trees, or all of the skies versus the mountains, or whatever's around you, you actually notice the sky. There is so much. And that starts to teach you to look at, there's enough. Right there, you've started to see that. The toe wiggling is like, this is just the way it is. I'm going to freak out. Nope. All of a sudden that changes. It's not just the way it is. Right? For there's not enough, you start to look there. And then for more is better, I like to use sunlight. And for those of you, if you're listening to this or watching this at night, look at moonlight or the light outside, but just notice how many surfaces the sun touches every day. You don't even take it, even we just take it for granted. We just walk right by it. But if you actually look at every single place that the sun touches, right, you can see how necessary shadow is. And it's not always that more is better, but that where it is, it can flourish. And anything can flourish. Life can flourish wherever the sunlight hits. Same with the moonlight at night and that peace that creates. But there's also shadow always. And this idea that more of everything is better, no, because then there's no contrast and you can't actually enjoy what is. So those are kind of my three. They're totally free. You have complete access to them whenever you want. And nobody has to know what you're doing. You can just sort of flip your perspective. Right. I know. Secrets.
Right.
I like that.
I may or may not have been wiggling my toes this entire time. You never know.
Totally
You don't
took my
know.
shoes off.
You don't know.
I took my shoes
You don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. But it's really effective. It really does work. And you start to rewire your brain to notice things you haven't seen before. And that is the key. That really literally is the key.
Right.
So then how do you take that and apply that to your financial house?
I love this. Okay. So let's go back to this idea of a surprise bill, for example, right? That comes in and you're like, son of a gun, right? It might be like, Sarah Walton, I'm not going to look at sunshine. I have a bill to pay. And I'll be like, I get that. I totally got that. Like stupid lady on a podcast I heard once. I feel you. Yeah. So what you want to do is notice that the bill itself is there, right? It's real. It's there. And then you take a second and just look up. And that difference from like focusing on it, panicking, trying to look it up online, trying to get like that thing that we get into is you just notice it. You go, okay, this came in. This was a surprise. I wasn't expecting it. We just take a sec and you start to notice like, okay, I don't know. Let's say it was a $350 bill, whatever, right? It comes in and you're like, okay, so there's a $350 swing here I wasn't expecting. Where can that come from? What could I do? What have I forgotten about? And you just start to notice things. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I forgot to invoice that client. Oh, that's right. I have paid PTO at my work. Oh, you know what? That's absolutely right. So-and-so called me and asked me about something and I didn't call them back and that might be a job. I don't know. There's so many things. I've had other people say things. This is one of my favorites. Is somebody, it was around $10,000 and she was like, what the flip? And I was like, just sit with it for a hot second. Let's see what happens. But just be open to the fact that you've forgotten where $10,000 is. And I know that sounds very woo-woo and crazy. I know. But she actually she'd had stocks sitting somewhere she completely forgot about from a previous job. And of course it was like $11,300 or something. Right. And what happens is it's not that this is magical thinking and stuff magically falls on your head. No. But what happens is you retrain your brain to look for it. And that little tiny shift in looking for it gives it room to show up. And when I first start talking about this, people are like, no, that's not how money works. It totally is how money works. It's how anything in our lives works. And one of the examples I like to give is, say, you're looking for a new car, whatever, and you decide to buy a white Toyota. You're thinking about it. You're like, yeah, I think it's the white Toyota. Oh, you go outside. What do you see?
Yeah.
9 million
everywhere.
Million white Toyotas. Right.
It's like, this used to be a lot more funny when we didn't have Siri, but I'd be like, what? You think that the dealership just knows what you want? Right now I'm like, oh, they might. But it's like, they're like, release the extras. She's looking at that. Like, that's not what happens at all. It's called your reticular activating system. It's in your brain, and you tell it what to focus on and it will find it. And I had one client who was like, I'm doing that with lime green cars. She cracks me up, has to be defiant, right? I was like, great, do it with lime green cars. She's like, every time I go out, there's at least 3. I'm like, really? I've never seen one. And of course, now I see them because, it's like, that's really how it works. And those of you that have teenagers, I want you to think about this. You will not allow yourself to lie about this, right? This is where it gets tricky for people. Like, I'm like, $1 million does not fall on your head. That's not how this works. What you say you can see, you will make real. And anyone who has a teenager, I'm going to give you a scenario. You're like, oh, schmuckers, she's right. This does work. This is like my favorite. Like, you're at dinner, right? You're sitting down and someone's like, oh, I forgot the salt. You're like, great. Could you go grab it? It's in the kitchen in the cupboard to the left of the stove, right? So the kid goes in there. It's not in here. Yes, it is. It's in the, it's on the second. It's not here. The kid is not lying. The kid has decided it's not there.
The kid?
So they literally cannot see it. They can't see it. It's just not there. And you walk in and it's right in front of they're like, it wasn't there. I swear. Right? They're not lying. That's how powerful that belief system really is. It's happened to all of us in the grocery store too, right? I can't find it. I can't find it. I can't find it. You ask the person, they're like, it's right here. Yeah. It's because we won't lie. We will not allow ourselves to lie. So when we say, I can't make money, when we say, I can't find it, when we say, this is too hard, when we say, it's scary, it's not for me, it's really easy for that lady to say, because she has it. That you will make true. And it's not like, be careful of what you say. Oh my God. It's not to live like that. It's to say, well, what have I missed? Where is there an opportunity? I'm going to play the game. I want to only see black Lexus. That's what I want to see outside. Watch what happens. Start playing the game. And so if it's like, oh, I really do want to take care of this surprise bill, where would that come from? And that question alone will have you start to think about things that weren't there. I have an old Instagram post. It was funny. I have a new boyfriend and he was going through my old Instagram and he found this picture. I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. I was my prom, right? I'm like, thanks, baby. Thanks for finding that. But it was my prom photo, right? And there was a dress I really wanted and I'm wearing it in the photo, but it was like, how could I get that? And I learned how to do nails, and I did all my friends' nails for prom, and that's how I got the dress. It wasn't because I'm like, I'm so studious and hardworking. I asked the question, how could I do that? If I wanted that, what would I do? How could I do it? Where would it be? And just those opening questions start to change things. So when you go into your bank account and you're not happy with what you see, it's not, whoa, isn't it? See, I knew that stupid lady in the picture was crazy. You can't make it right. Whatever you're doing that, you just sit back and go, well, okay, so it's, I don't know, let's make something up. Say you want to have a $10,000 emergency fund, right? A lot of people are going through that. Right now you have $500 in there and you're like, oh, never going to happen. It's like, okay, but if it did, how would that happen? How would that happen? And you actually allow the ideas to come in. Because here's what people don't understand. This woo-woo world, I know coaches, I put myself in this category. I know there's a lot of entrepreneur porn out there, people. I'm apologizing for that. I'm so sorry. Money is not magical. It can feel that way at times. It is not. It's really quite clear what happens to have the $500 be there. And the result that is in that moment, right, is that we have an invisible world that's running the show. We have our beliefs, which we can't see, and right, you have your beliefs, and then those beliefs give you a certain thought, right? Those thoughts and beliefs are invisible. But over here, we have results. That's visible. We can see results. So what is the bridge between this invisible world of belief and thoughts and the visible world of results. There's only one thing in between those two worlds, and that's action, right? Action is the bridge between the invisible to the visible. So when I look at someone's bank account and I see that result, I go, great, what's the belief that caused that result? Oh, because I know it's there. And you can do that with anything in your life. Your current health is a result. Your current relationship is a result. Your relationship with your children is a result. The way that people treat you at work is a result. Your current salary is a result. What is the belief that caused that result? If you can know that belief, that is so powerful, because again, we've got recognition. So you can say, okay, the belief is it's too hard to make money. You can immediately go into that moment and go, but what if it wasn't hard? Now you've got the opening that we were just talking about, but it's based off of what you've planted that you didn't even know you planted. And we know what your beliefs are based on the results that you're producing.
So what about those of them out there who believe I can get results, but they're not getting them because for some reason, what they believe isn't really what they believe, right?
Correct.
How do you, A, identify that my belief system is wonky, B, fix it?
Yeah. Well, the belief system, the belief system is wonky because of the results.
Yes.
You can't ever, we just went through it, right? You cannot disassociate a belief from a result. It's not possible. Now, can life happen and throw stuff at us? Oh my God, sure. But again, how you respond to that is going to be different based on your beliefs, and you're going to have a different result, even when life is crazy. Mm-hmm. So we know if the results are wonky, if they are not what was intended, we know there's a belief at work. There's just no way around that. You can't make that up. That is just what happens. And we know that because those beliefs give rise to actions that are causing these results. You wouldn't be acting in this way if there wasn't a belief driving your action. So in looking at that, if somebody thinks they're doing that, but then their results say otherwise, this is when I lovingly hand them a cup of coffee and say, let's talk, right? Because what's happening is there's a belief they're not aware of yet that is running the show. Just like I wasn't aware a 16-year-old girl was running my life, right? There's something's happening or the result would change. It's literally that simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it is literally that simple. And so we look at the result and say, what kind of a belief system would cause this result? What would someone believe who has this result? And you take it sort of out of the personal and you just sort of guess, you start looking around. Well, I think they might believe that they have to buy $200 jeans to stay cool. And that's why the $200 didn't go. Maybe they would believe that they have to have new drapes in their living room before the emergency fund is funded. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Maybe maybe they believe that. Maybe they believe that that's more important. That's interesting. Is that true? Is it more important? Because that's okay. But you want to know about it if it is. And if they do think that's more important, when they've said the emergency fund is the most important, what is that belief? And the belief might end up being, I'm making this up right now, but it might end up being the way I look is more important than the way I feel. Oh. And all of a sudden it's like, I do this a lot with women and I joke around about the $200 jeans, right? But it's like they have $200 jeans and they have underwear that's held together by safety pins. What is that message? What is that message? What is going on there? What's for you doesn't matter, but what the rest of the world sees matters. Interesting. Right. And we just do that. And to do that without judgment, to do that without flogging, to do that without making yourself wrong is so powerful. And it's not easy to do because somewhere along the line, we were all taught if you just beat the hell out of yourself verbally, then you won't be lazy. It's like, well, no, that just makes everything worse. It's like, no. You love up on the kid who thinks it's okay to have safety pins in their underwear while everybody else thinks they're wealthy. That's the kid you love up on. And that's the belief you start to say, okay, well, if that is the belief, what is it like to live like that? It's hell. It's hell. Because every time I open up my bank account, I feel like crap. Interesting. But if the neighbors come over and happen to see the new curtains, you feel good for 10 seconds. Interesting. What do you want to do about that? And we do that without judgment. We do that with so much love and so much empathy and so much understanding because it could be any one of us. I mean, I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. Like no one's on a box here going, well, I don't. And if they're doing that, I'm going to want to talk to them because then something else doesn't work, right? Like we're all in this together. And, I love to tell people all the time, like no work gets to lift you up outside of your humanity. right? I'm a coach who talks about money, and I'm going to get surprise bills. Nothing's going to lift me up out of my own humanity either. And I think when we start to get that with each other and we understand we're all in this, the beliefs are causing my results world. Well, how can I ask a different question? How can I start looking at this differently? We're all in that together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once we're in that environment where there is no judgment, it gets really almost fun to figure these things out because you're unlocking yourself from different prisons.
Right. So yes to all of it. Right? But for those of us who are trying to change the way that we do things in terms of the 3D versus the 5D, that kind of thing, right? How do you align abundance and these types of concepts with a soul aligned purpose?
Yeah. Well, such a loaded question and so beautiful. And thank you for asking it. But one of the things I say often is I don't think universe, God, highest self, whatever your belief system is, I don't think that, God put you here with these beautiful gifts that you've been given so you could give those gifts away for free and hate your day job. What? This is all a complete man-made construct that we spend time away from our families, away from the people we love, so that we can pay bills for stuff we don't want. I don't think that that's actually the plan. If you actually take a moment and think about it, if you're a parent or if you have nieces and nephews or children that you love in your life, would you ever say to them, go be miserable? Like, no, that's not a thing, right? So it really is understanding. And this, Will, to your question, is where I really do work with women because women have been taught to give away their gifts for free. Like society depends on that in so many ways that we don't get paid for what we do. And so there is a lot of work inside of a soul-led purpose, right? Understanding that soul-led purpose was given to you so you could make a living. It's not an extra. It's not this, crazy thing on the side. It's why you're here. And there's no way the universe or God would give you that gift and not provide for you to provide the gift. And what I like to say is almost how that happens is none of our business. I always say I wake up every day and I keep my agreement with the universe. Some people say their agreement with God, and that is my ability to speak and to go out and talk about these concepts. That's my thing. That's what I'm here to do. So I just keep that agreement and I keep it constantly. There are times I don't feel like it, but I keep that agreement and I show up and I keep that agreement and I keep my agreement that way. And then everything else gets handled. Do I have to have a business? Yeah. Do I have to have offers? Sure. Do I need to understand what I'm charging for? Oh my gosh, yes, of course. Again, this is not magical thinking. But now that is set up, my job is to use my gifts every day to the best of my ability and to know that somebody gets sent this podcast episode, for example, by a friend they haven't talked to in 5 years, one day that they saw in the grocery store, right? Like that part's none of my business. Like that part gets taken care of from something much smarter than me. But if I don't show up and keep my agreement, that part's not possible. And so when we look at abundance, we can all have the abundance of self to show up and keep our agreement with the universe. And anybody listening, you know which one I'm talking about. It's your ability to make people laugh. It's your ability to have empathy. And maybe you're an incredible parent and you've always had this thing of like, oh, I'd love to teach other parents how to do that. Maybe you're great at driving and you're like, I want to teach these kids. Nobody's teaching. They're all taking Uber. How to drive. I don't know. We all have our thing, right? That we're here to do. And this part takes a little bit of faith. It also takes action, and it takes examining your beliefs that dictate your actions. But this idea that you would not have been given this gift if there wasn't a way for you to sustain your life doing it. And I think once that truth sort of clicks, it clicks for people. It's beautiful to watch. You watch a moment where someone goes, oh, I get that now. And then they go out and they do their thing. Yeah.
So what if you don't know what your gift is? You get so caught up in life and work and whatever, and you're just, I ain't got nothing special.
Right. No, I mean, my favorite question to ask there is, what do people come to you for? Like if I were to ask you right now, what do people ask you to do, or what do your friends come to you for? Most people have an answer or an inkling. And if somebody's thinking, no, that doesn't really happen. One of my first clients, when I first started my business, I love to share her story. Her name is Tasha Blasi, and she now helps people with IVF. She has 100% success rate in getting people pregnant. And
wow.
Isn't that gorgeous?
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
She came to me. She was a senior executive at a country music station. And she's like, get me out of this job or I'm going to stick a fork in my eye. I was like, okay, great. What are we doing? And she said, I want to organize wealthy women's closets. And I was like, really? Really, do you? So those are the conversations you want to have all day?
Oh.
And she was like, oh God, no. I was like, yeah. Right, so it's so funny when we start with the money, we're like all backwards. I was like, I don't think that's what you're here to do, but if it is, we'll figure it out. And I said, what do people come to you for? And she said, oh my gosh, my IVF journey. And I was like, what IVF? I didn't know. I was like, what IVF journey? And what had happened is it took her 2 rounds to have her oldest and then 8 rounds to have her second.
Ooh.
And so she had this unique, beautiful experience of primary infertility and then secondary infertility. And I was like, talk to me about this and the guilt she felt for like still going on. She already had a kid and like, all the things that she went through. And then she's like, oh yeah, and I was a biology teacher. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I totally forgot I was a biology teacher. I'm like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. And she's gorgeous and she's funny. And I was like, yeah, we're putting this together. And what people would call her for was how to not make the shots hurt. And how can I get through, the day of implantation until the day I take my pregnancy test? How can I get through that without being stressed out and freaked out? And so she started teaching that. There are now like over 350 babies in the world now because she taught people how to do that. That's her thing. That's what she's here to do. Right? It's like, I don't know what your thing is, but if I can ask you that question and you start getting into what actually like rolls your socks up and down, it's like, wait a second. And it can be something very different. I didn't know she knew about IVF.
Yeah. But and the thing, I think the question coming from Karen is a really good one because a lot of people don't know how to ask that question and be able to answer it. Like I could answer it for Karen immediately, but she's still trying to figure out what her calling is. But you just went in on a website to ask people, how much would people pay for something like this?
Oh, no, that's not my calling. I don't want to do that professionally.
but you're amazing at it. And people come to you all the time about it.
No, not really.
But she made the cake for our daughter's birthday, and it was unbelievable. It was gorgeous. And she couldn't easily make tons of money doing this kind of thing. But but anyway. Whereas for me, people come to me because they like to drink with me.
They ask you about tech stuff.
Well, yes, right. Anyway. So you're one of those people that I could just sit and listen to.
I know. You don't even have to really ask a lot of questions. Just listen.
For days. And so, unfortunately, we are running out of time very quickly. But usually we like to ask people some curveball questions just to kind of throw things in different directions and hoping that you are open to something like that.
I love that. Let's go.
Okay. All right. If you could send one push notification to every phone on the planet, just one sentence, what would it say?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Just one? Oof. Probably something along the lines of, you really are already ready. And yes, they will pay you for it.
I love that. I need to figure out what I'm ready for. And then I'm going to end up paying for it. Okay. The second question. What is the sassiest, most loving piece of advice you wish you could whisper into the ear of every person on earth? Kind of goes along the same lines.
The sassiest?
Yeah.
Go kick some assets.
That's really good. That's really good.
I think that's what I would say. Like, stop it. You can make as much as you want. Get out of here. Go. Yeah.
It is funny because in the same video that we talked about earlier, you mentioned about how many millions of people there are in the United States, and you think you need them all to run your business, but you really only need like 5 or 5,000 of them, whatever. So there are plenty of people for your business. It's not like so right. Okay, last one, really quickly. If money was a character in a movie, who would it be? And what would their dramatic monologue sound like?
Oh my God, this is so interesting you said that, because I actually just did an exercise in the Abundance Academy where I said I want you to picture money and who it is as a character. So I totally have the answer for this.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that wild? I love when the universe does stuff like that.
Alignment, yes.
But, wow. So did you ever see Big Hero 6?
Yes. Love that
Right.
movie.
There's the big white fluffy dude,
Yeah.
right? Who holds you and hugs you. That's my money.
Hey,
Right. I was
baby.
like, that's the money would be as the big and he hugs you and
Yeah,
he's the best, he's
Baymax.
warm and cozy. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And there's money flying all around when I saw this. And the monologue is, see, I was always here.
Oh,
That's it.
God,
Wow.
I swear, you are one of my favorite guests of all time. This is amazing. Sarah, I know you do a lot of things on your website. You give a lot of things away for free for folks that want to go and visit your site, but then you also help a lot of people. So tell us about what you do. Why should someone go to your site and what is it? So we can put it in our show notes for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just my name, Sarah with an H, Sarah Walton, like the family on TV, sarahwalton.com. And I think one of my favorite things on the website is the Freedom Calculator, which you mentioned, Will. And this is it's just a PDF you can download. It's got a lot of marketing advice on it. But the most important piece is at the very beginning is your own calculator for you to understand how much money you would need to make in order to feel free. And the reason I give that away is I want people to know their number based on their lifestyle so they can start going towards it. Remember, we said awareness is so much. So you can find out your specific number and start moving towards it. And I love that. But then you can also find my podcast, the Game On Girlfriend podcast, and my YouTube channel there as well.
Right. And one of the greatest things about the Freedom Calculator is if you go and you ask for it, you will get that video that I was talking about. So it'll be a win-win all the way around. Sarah, amazing, absolutely amazing having you on the show. I feel like this may not be the last time we talk, but I'm just putting out there.
And I feel like I got a lot of work to do.
Call me, Karen. We'll make it easy. Just call me. It's all good, sister. I got your back.
Great.
I got your back.
All right, Sarah. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. We look forward to sticking and being in touch again soon.
Thank you so much, you guys. It's been a joy.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick something. Thank you for being on the show. Look forward to keeping in touch with you in the future.
I love it. Thanks so much, you guys. It's been a joy.
Okay, well, that does it for this episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Thanks for coming along on this journey beyond the veil. If you're enjoying the ride, don't forget to visit us at skepticmetaphysician.com to dive even deeper into the world of metaphysics and spiritual awakenings. Follow us also on your favorite social media platforms. We're always sharing mind-expanding content and behind-the-scenes fun. And if you're craving connection with like-minded seekers, the link is on the show notes. And hey, if you're feeling the vibes, help others find us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It makes a huge difference, and we would be so grateful. Until next time, keep questioning, keep seeking, but most of all, keep your mind open.